Welcome to this week's episode of Miles Around. On this week's show, one car company gets to stand on the pedestal. It's Jaguar. We'll be taking a look at this. It is the classic XJR and also the new XK. And one of us gets to spend the whole day with the man that designed this car, Ian Callum.
Have I told you I hate you for that yet? It all starts right now. Welcome back to Miles Around. If you get a chance, make sure and check out milesaround.com.
In our driver's seat this week, we're going to take a look at these two vehicles, the XJR and the XK. But before we get to those, let's start off with my trip to England. I got to spend the day with the man that designed this car, Ian Callum, and this is how some of the day went.
I always say, and I really believe this, to do something that is beautiful, that most people can understand without explanation, is actually much more difficult than doing something that's just creative and different. And although I try to be very creative about it, it's more important for me to create something that you can enjoy. And I'm not going to be there when the guy comes into the showroom to look at the car. I want the car to speak for itself. It's about discipline. It's about making things as easy to look at as possible, but also at the same time exciting. So for instance, if you're going to make lines in a car, you make them very pleasant. Yes, they can be exciting lines, but they also have to be very easy to look at. And the surfaces between have to be very complex, but not complicated. So it's easy to look at, and then you can start to enjoy and absorb yourself in the sculpture of a very sophisticated surface. But it's not ruined by too many lines in it. You can actually enjoy looking at it. It's very important to me that there's two elements of designing a car. One is the pleasure you get in creating it, which is quite a challenge in itself and takes a lot of hard work. But the results are satisfying. And the second one is the pleasure you give to others. I always say to people, you can't make judgment on your product until you see it, until that car has got the high ground over you. And then you can make that normal, realistic, emotional judgment on it. It's always a high point. The XK was incredibly challenging for me. Now, that makes it all the more important that when it comes out the other end, my job is to have made it look easy, and not something that's been difficult. I can always tell a happy car. I can always tell an angst car. And you can tell when a designer's gone through angst to get to where he's got, and he's seriously had to compromise things. There is an enormous amount of angst in designing a car, but at the end of the day you have to portray something that looks and feels confident and contented as an entity. It's important I get that in the car that we're designing.
The guys that make Miles Around possible: the Russ Auto Group, Baxter Auto Parts, Northside Ford, Ray Reese Dealerships, 4 Wheel Parts Performance Centre, Grand Prix Imports, and J. Lee's Auto Group. Thanks, guys.